Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video. I'm your host, TheJuan&Only, and today I got a really special one for you all. Unless you've been living under a rock, you know that one of Apple's most anticipated and talked about releases of 2022 is none other than the Apple Watch Ultra. Upon its initial release, the entire tech community was buzzing with chatter about this all-new creation that now sports the largest display ever on an Apple Watch, plus has tremendous battery life and is designed for rugged terrains. But not everyone has an Apple store within reasonable driving distance to marvel in all of its glory in person. Trust me when I say it, guys, but the Apple Watch Ultra is pretty massive and was released alongside 3 all-new style of bands that were designed specifically for the Ultra, but are also compatible with the larger variants of the non-Ultra watches, that is, the 45, 44, and 42mm Apple Watches. Most, if not all, of Apple's marketing shows the Ultra being rocked alongside one of the 3 all-new Ultra styles, that being either the Ocean bands, the Alpine loops, or the Trail loops. But what about the other style of bands? Why don't they get any love, Apple? Many people adore the all-new style of bands, but what about those wondering how the Apple Watch Ultra would look paired up with the Milanese loops, or maybe even a leather Hermes band? Well, don't fret, as this video is dedicated to just that. For today's video, we're going to model and wear every single first-party official style of band ever released for the Apple Watch. That's exactly right. I'm talking everything from the sport bands to the Hermes jumping single tour to the Link bracelet. In this video, I'll cover it all. This video is intended to show off each band style in different lighting conditions, including out in broad daylight, but also under artificial studio lighting, so that you have a better idea of how each band style looks on the Apple Watch Ultra. I've also attached video chapters should you be interested in a specific band style, that way you can skip ahead or rewind to certain portions of this video. And finally, one small side note, I've only ever bought the larger variants of the Apple Watches, so any band style solely made for the smaller 38, 40, or 41mm watches will not be featured. And either way, any smaller band style such as the modern buckle line isn't even compatible on the Ultra anyway. Okay, I think that's it for the intros. Are we done with the intros? Oh yeah, and also join Club 09. It's a Discord server me and my good friend Mike host, and is a certified safe space for bandaholics wanting to share their passion for band collecting to their heart's content. Okay, now we're officially ready, so without further ado, let's get this show on the road. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's go ahead and get started with the OG band style. This is the one most people associate with when hearing the words Apple Watch. No doubt, you already know I'm talking about the sport bands. This band style has been around since the inception of the Apple Watch and to this day remains a classic. You really can't go wrong with this style. Its innovative pin and tuck closure ensures for a clean fit every time, and at this point there's a myriad of color options available, ranging from subtle, more low-key colors such as midnight to very vibrant in-your-face colors such as several of the yellow sport bands that have been released recently. You can go as dark or as bright as you want with this style of band, and for the Ultra, it makes for a very welcome matchup, especially for those individuals who want something lightweight and breathable while working out. It's the classic, it's the OG, and it's why it's first on our list. Following up the sport bands are a slight variant, that being the Nike sport bands. These bands are essentially the same as the sport bands, only that they have more holes, or for a more exact term, perforations that are everywhere and is a trypophobe's worst nightmare. For the majority of people who don't have an irrational fear of holes, this band provides with a lot more breathing room for your wrist. I weightlift a lot, and sometimes during the summer, the gym gets very hot and more musty than usual. In these instances where you know for a fact you'll be sweaty due in part because of hot weather or physical activity, the Nike sport bands are the best option for intense cardio sessions or when being under the sun. If you're anything like me, I just naturally sweat by just standing outside in hot and humid weather. So these bands are my best friend during the summer so that my wrist can breathe a little better. What I love most about them is they're either a dual tone contrasting or complementing setup. And with the larger casing of the Ultra, you can get really creative with your watch face plus Nike sport band setup. This is one of my favorite style of bands, but because it goes way too hard in being good during sporty environments, it's a horrible choice choice and quite frankly a tacky choice when in more formal occasions. So long as you keep that in mind, the Nike sport bands combine exceptionally well with the Apple Watch Ultra. Again, you can't go wrong here. Keeping right along with the whole sport vibe, we now transition to the Sport Loop line, a style of bands known for flashy, flamboyant, and interesting color combinations. Apple lately has been going crazy on these for the past few seasons now with dual tone, tritone, and even quad tone color palettes, and I'm a massive fan. I'll also lump the reflective Nike Sport Loops within the same category because they more or less are the exact same band, just one has a reflective property and the other one doesn't, which by the way, click the like button if you also missed the reflectiveness property these Nike bands came with. Nowadays, we get to be billboard signs with the Nike variants, as now they just have like Nike logos plastered all over them. To be honest, I much preferred them when they reflected, but anyway, sorry for the tangent, but I highly recommend this style of band for any Apple Watch Ultra owner, and here's why. The main reason? They're infinitely adjustable. I know at times, certain style of bands are confusing. For example, some require you to indicate a specific size, almost as if you're shopping for shoes. So I can be a 7 while my girlfriend Gabby's a 4, maybe Bean my cat is like a 2, maybe. You get the point. With these, it's a one size fits most approach where you can have the Ultra as tight or as loose as you please. And because they're ultra soft and stretchable, it feels like a pillow is on your wrist securing your Ultra regardless of your chosen physical activity. And like I mentioned, Apple has gotten really creative with some of the colors on this style of line. So for bandaholics like me who actually dig the very flashy and vibrant colors, it's a must, and you really can't go wrong with coloring, seeing as how the lugs or inserts are plastic and typically follow the color scheme of the chosen band. So there's that. Okay, now moving on to a more versatile style of band in my opinion, that being the Braided Solo line. Now again, the one small asterisk that accompanies this purchase is that you must ensure you get the proper size. So if you have an Apple store nearby, it's always best to go get your wrist measured. But if that's not feasible for you, I did create a sizing guide for the Braided Solo and Solo Loop line a few years back. I'll attach a card at the top right if you need help in that regard. But what I love about the Braided Solo line is just how versatile they are. They're solid enough to rock on formal occasions, especially if choosing a non-bright color, but can also be taken to the gym while reading your favorite book, cleaning your cat's litter box even. You get the point by now. They're just bloody comfortable. This style of band is just like your favorite pair of slides. You just slide the band on easily to the wrist. There's no buckles or clasp to speak of, and if you have the correct size, the band is chillin'. It's lightweight on the wrist, and the interwoven design of the Braided Solo line gives it its distinct swagger. There's a reason these bands are priced higher than the sport bands. They not only look great, but feel great, and this style of bands has produced some S-tier bands, including the Pride Braided Solo. Ain't no way you can look at this band and say it's not dope as hell, like come on. Upon its release, some people did wonder if there was any gap when inserting the bands, and I mean, kind of, but the good thing is, this isn't like your plastic or metal lugs. The Braided Solo band just kinda ends, and the gap isn't even noticeable unless your eyeballs are a few centimeters away from the watch anyway. I tend to think the Braided Solo line inserts just blend seamlessly with the beautiful raw titanium color. Okay, and now kind of within the same family but still distinct, let's look at how clean and dank the Solo Loop line makes your Ultra setup. If you're a minimalist and are the type to have one of each color of a Nike tee or Ralph Lauren polos for example, then the Solo line is the band style for you. You see, the Solo Loops are made of a similar material to the Sport Band line, only this one is slightly softer to the touch and way stretchier and feels a lot silkier and smoother. Similar to the more expensive Braided Solo line, these also feature no clasps or buckles and just slips on the wrist quite easily. Again, you must get your sizing right, but these just make for a very solid and lightweight band that's simple, features just one color to either complement or contrast against your watch face, and yeah, I think it makes the Ultra look very minimalistic, but in a good way, especially when combining it with a matching watch face of the same color. It's just perfect. It's simple, and yeah, that's the Solo Loops. Alright, now we move on to a discontinued style of band. I know, rip, major rip, because I really enjoyed this style. I'm talking about none other than the woven nylon bands. Super lightweight, like I mean really lightweight, came in at 49 bucks a pop, and the plethora of color combinations on this style was insane. Kind of reminds me of the sport loops in this regard. I mean, you had stripe designs, checker designs, country flags even for the Summer Olympics. Like, Apple had something real good with this line, but all good things must come to an end, as they say. Even though all the woven nylons, I think, someone correct me if I'm wrong about this, but these were available only during the 42 and 38 millimeter era. So all woven nylons were designed for the really old, more square-like design of the Apple Watches before the Series 4 even came out and increased that screen size. They're a great relic of Apple's past, and the insane color options this line provides elevates your Ultra setup to be a little bit more fun. It just shows a little more character. Plus, they're old enough where they seem to become rarer and rarer out in the wild. There is a very tiny gap with the plastic inserts, but again, who cares, number one. Number two, nobody's ever going to get that close to your wrist to examine it. And three, this was way before the Ultra's time. These bands, again, were in circulation during the Series 0 era, the Series 1 era, and up until the first ever redesign of the Apple Watch. For nostalgia purposes, I think the woven nylon bands are some of the funnest to layer onto your Apple Watch Ultra setup. Let me know down in the comments if you agree. Alright, now we move into a bougier version of the woven nylon bands, sort of. Only these are made in partnership with Hermes, the very affluent name brand that produces some of the most gorgeous and supple natural leather I've ever seen. While they do have their own line of leather bands, which I'll cover later on in the video, they also provide a cheaper style of bands, and I'm using cheaper very loosely here, known as the jumping single tour line. These bands are definitely way thicker and are constructed with much more quality materials. It's apparent upon immediately feeling these bands in the hands. They have signature Hermes branding sort of interwoven right in, and usually come in a dual tone pattern with some rather interesting color combinations. To some, however, the price doesn't justify these, and I can't blame you. These bands are well over $300, and with that kind of money, you can buy yourself 6 other Apple Sport bands or a whole Apple Watch SE. These bands do feature either stainless steel or space black stainless steel lugs, so there may be a material mismatch that some bandaholics seem to detest. I used to agree, but nowadays the small variation in color and material on just the lugs is negligible, and in my opinion shouldn't sway your decision in picking up a band or not. Alright, we might as well cover the Hermes leather bands, as this is easily hands down one of the best ways to elevate your Ultra from looking like a clunky Ben 10 looking watch to something a little more sophisticated. Check out how Hermes's version of saddle brown looks paired up with the Ultra. It just makes it seem more pristine with the soft, supple leather, and then the stitching just accents the whole package. Hermes has released multiple colors in the past, and if it doesn't break the bank for you, I would always encourage any bandaholic to at least feature one Hermes leather band in your collection. You'll be blown away at the craftsmanship, the durability, and just how well it seems to pair up against the bulkier casing of the Apple Watch Ultra. Hermes isn't the only way to get your hands on an official leather watch band. In fact, Apple currently has some first-party leather options and has discontinued a couple lines before in the past. One of those was the classic buckle line, as it was known, and it came in a variety of leather offerings, similar to Hermes, which usually consisted of a singular color. Apple was not shy to try a variety of non-traditional leather colors such as deep blues or vibrant yellows. And most feature a stainless steel metal insert along with a stainless steel spring kind of buckle mechanism. I actually very much enjoyed this style of band. They seemed elegant, timeless, and straight up professional looking. Especially classic leather colors like black and saddle brown looked especially clean with this setup. Sadly, it's been a hot minute since these were axed, but for the OG bandaholics, we remember. They work in a similar capacity to Hermes's leather offerings. They provide a very specific situation to wear these, mostly for formal events and not so much for the gym because, it's leather. The material quality and level of craftsmanship clearly is not on par with Hermes, but they offer a sophisticated and appealing way to elevate your setup that's suited for those special moments. And to round out Apple's leather choices, we again look at a family of bands that are similar but still have enough differences to set them apart. First, looking at the leather link style of bands, which are the ones that are currently available. So I'm gonna be honest, they're not my favorite, and within the band community, it's either you love them or you hate them. Some people aren't a fan of the pill-like shapes, almost like a ton of miniature speed bumps. And also similar to other bands, it's not infinitely adjustable, and sometimes throughout the day, it seems the magnets become loose throughout it, if that makes any sense, and you seem to catch yourself tightening the band throughout the day. What's cool is it's similar to the Braided Solo line, in the sense that these don't feature a plastic or metal lug insert, and instead just end where the band does and has this thin inner metallic portion that is hidden away when installing the band, so that it's always obstructed and away from view, which makes pairing bands easier with the titanium finish of the Ultra. But years ago, another loop offering existed, and they were made of leather. They were called the leather loops, duh. And so I like these way better for the sheer fact that they are infinitely adjustable. The magnet bumps were less subtle, and it seems the magnets here were stronger. In fact, the magnets felt sturdier, but it seemed like you got very little leather here, almost seeming like it's just a clever magnet bracelet shrouded by a very thin layer of natural leather. I don't know. In any case, Apple did release these in vibrant, non-traditional leather options as well, but mostly had taupe-like, brown, or darker black color options, which provided a more natural look on the wrist. Again, I preferred these to the newer leather links, and if you happen to have a few in your collection, it makes for a perfect pairing when combined with the Apple Watch Ultra. And last but not least, we move on to the all-metallic bands, which are the Milanese Loop and the Link bracelets. Let's start with the Milanese Loop band, which kind of sort of resembles chainmail, and best yet, because it has the word loop in its name, it's safe to assume this one is also infinitely adjustable, and you'd be correct. This is the classiest of all the loop bands and looks terrific for formal occasions, like with a button-down shirt with tie and slacks. Apple has released it in several color iterations, with the stainless steel one being the standard band that fits best with the Ultra in my opinion. We've had graphite Milanese Loop, space black, gold, the other gold that was a little darker and more bronzier. It's yet another great way to elevate your Ultra for those occasions where you have to dress for success. And finally, we have the Link bracelets, which of course we have in two colors, silver and space black. I recently revisited this style of band just a few weeks ago. You should totally check out that video, which I'll attach a card at the top right, just for in case if you've ever wondered if the Link bracelet is a good fit for you. But on the Ultra, it looks magnificent. But I gotta say, the space black version just looks odd to me. It can work depending on your fit, but in most cases, the clash of the all dark stainless steel versus the lighter brushed titanium is just too much for me and kind of ruins everything. It could just be me nitpicking, but I'm sure I'm not alone here. Let me know what you think though. The Link bracelets are the priciest in-house Apple bands, so do you think it's worth it to pair up with the already pretty expensive Ultra? Let me know down below. Alright guys, and there you have it. That's every single non-Ultra band modeled on the Apple Watch Ultra. I obviously excluded the 3 new styles designed for the Ultra, seeing as I have full, dedicated, in-depth videos on each style, including the ocean bands, the alpine loops, and the trail loops in all available colors as of January of 2023. All links, as always, are down below. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed. Out of all the styles of bands, which did you think looked best on the Apple Watch Ultra? Let's get a discussion going on in the comment section or even over on our Discord Club 09. And with that, I'm clocking out for now, but I cannot wait to catch you all in my next video.